There comes a moment in life, and it doesn't always arrive with warning. It creeps in after sleepless nights, broken plans, and repeated attempts to fix what just won't bend. You've been doing more, haven't you? Hustling, grinding, meditating, journaling, manifesting, praying, planning, and yet nothing moves. You look at the sky and whisper, "Why isn't it working?" But here's the harsh, liberating truth. You've been trying to force alignment with a clenched fist. And the universe doesn't answer fists. It answers surrender. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist not only persists, but grows in size." So, while you've been trying to affirm your future deep inside, your energy has been saying, "I don't have it. I'm not enough. I'm scared." And guess what? The world listens to your energy, not your words. That's why your efforts don't manifest results. Not because you're lazy, not because you're broken, but because you're stuck in survival mode, trying to control what was never yours to command. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And when your entire identity is built on chasing, fixing, solving, your life becomes a reflection of the very emptiness you're trying to escape. So what if I told you this? The most powerful move you can make right now is to stop. Stop grasping. Stop pushing. Stop proving, not from fear but from faith, not from weakness but from wisdom. Because when the doing stops, the becoming begins. When the noise dies down, the unconscious awakens. And when you finally stop interfering, the psyche begins to heal, the shadow begins to integrate, and reality starts aligning on its own. This is not the end of your effort. This is the beginning of your surrender. Not giving up, but giving in to something deeper, something timeless. Let go and watch what happens. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stop chasing. You're blocking yourself. We've been sold a lie, that success comes from chasing, that happiness is a result of relentless pursuit, that if you just run faster, push harder and keep grinding, eventually what you want will fall into your hands. But Carl Jung didn't teach us to chase dreams. He taught us to turn inward, to ask, why am I chasing this in the first place? Because sometimes the thing you're chasing isn't the real desire. It's the band-aid for a deeper wound. When you crave love so badly, it consumes your thoughts. Is it really about love? Or is it about the fear of being abandoned again? When you obsess over wealth, is it truly about money? Or are you still trying to prove your worth to the people who once made you feel small? Jung's genius wasn't in motivation. It was a confrontation. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That means if you don't bring your wounds into the light, they will control your desires, and you won't even realize it. So you keep running toward things thinking they'll complete you. But life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. And if what you are is wounded, desperate, fragmented, then every goal you chase will slip through your fingers, because the energy behind your effort is saying, I am not whole, I am not worthy. I need this to feel good enough. And the universe, it always mirrors your vibration. You say, please give me love. But your energy says, I don't have it. So it echoes back, you're right. This is why people burn out chasing relationships that never work, careers that drain them, validation that fades. Not because the goal is wrong, but because the self behind the goal is bleeding. The obsession is never about the thing. It's about what you believe that thing will fix inside you. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you got what you wanted right now, you wouldn't even be able to hold it, because your hands are still trembling with old pain. Jung wasn't here to help you manifest from ego. He was here to help you integrate your soul, to stop chasing and start facing the part of you that's been quietly screaming, "I'm not chasing success, I'm chasing wholeness." So, here's your turning point. Before you ask the universe for more, ask yourself, what part of me still feels empty? Because once you heal that, you'll stop chasing what was never yours and start attracting what was always meant for you. This is not about quitting your goals. It's about cleansing your reasons. That's when the unconscious stops resisting. And that's when the universe says, now you're ready. You're not here to chase alignment. You're here to become it. And becoming begins in stillness. Chapter 3. Detachment isn't giving up. It's awakening. Let go. Not as an active defeat. Not because you've given up on the outcome, but because you've finally awakened to the truth. I was never meant to control the world. I was meant to understand myself within it. Detachment isn't about apathy. It's not about pretending nothing matters. It's about reclaiming your energy from places it never belonged in the first place. It's the quiet confidence that says, I've done what I could. Now I surrender what I can't. Carl Jung understood that true transformation doesn't happen in obsession. It happens in surrender, not passive resignation, but deep inner alignment. You can't fake detachment. You can't scroll Instagram saying, I don't care anymore, while secretly checking your phone every 5 minutes for their name, for a sign, for a shift. The unconscious doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. And if your vibration still says, I need this to feel whole, then life will continue to show you all the ways you're not. Detachment is not the absence of desire. It's the absence of dependence. It's the inner knowing that says, even if this never comes, I am still enough. And here's the paradox. When your energy finally aligns with that truth, that's when everything begins to flow. Not because you forced it, but because you're no longer resisting it. Life bends for those who are already whole, not those begging to be completed. So if you're in pain right now, if you're caught in that invisible web of waiting, obsessing, hoping, pause. Not to distract yourself, but to ask, what part of me still believes that this one thing will fix everything? The part of you that's waiting for love, for validation, for success. That part doesn't need fixing. It needs witnessing. Not by the world, not by your ex, not by your parents, but by you. Because the moment you see yourself clearly, without judgment, without shame, you stop looking outside for mirrors and you start becoming your own. And that is where the real shift begins. No more chasing, no more begging, no more proving. Just being fully, unapologetically, powerfully you. Chapter 4. Allow the void. This is where transformation happens. After you finally let go, after the fight, the obsession, the gripping, the begging, something unexpected happens. Nothing. No sign, no reward, no sudden miracle, just silence. You wake up and the world looks the same. Your phone doesn't buzz. Your heart still aches. The opportunity hasn't come. The message hasn't arrived. And the voice inside you whispers, was any of that even worth it? This is the moment that breaks most people, because we've been conditioned to believe, if I let go, something good will instantly replace it. But the universe doesn't move on your timeline. It moves in energetic alignment. And before it gives you what you asked for, it checks to see who you've become without it. So here you are in the void, a space that feels like nothing but holds everything. This is in between, the space where your old self has died, but your new self hasn't been born yet. And that space is terrifying because there's no map, no proof, no external feedback to say you're on the right path. Just you and your thoughts, and the deafening quiet that demands you to trust something you can't yet see. Carl Jung called this space the creative void. He said, "In all chaos there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order." That means what looks like nothing happening on the outside is actually deep internal reorganization on the inside. Your soul is not on pause. It's under construction. Your unconscious is rewiring. Old wounds are detaching. New beliefs are anchoring. Your nervous system is adapting to receive the thing you used to beg for. But here's the trap. Because you can't see it happening, your ego tells you that this isn't working. And if you believe that lie, you'll self-sabotage. You'll start chasing again. And you'll block everything that was quietly forming behind the scenes. The void is not a punishment. It's a purification. It strips away everything you were depending on, the external validation, the illusion of control, the addiction to outcomes, until the only thing left is your truth. And when you reach that place where you stop chasing and start becoming, the universe listens, because energy never lies. You can post vision boards, recite affirmations, and chant mantras all day long. But if your energy still says, "I'm scared it won't happen," then life mirrors that. The void is the moment where you're asked to embody the outcome before it arrives. Can you feel wealthy before the money hits your bank account? Can you feel loved before the relationship manifests? Can you feel free before anything changes on the outside? Because if you can, you collapse time. You turn waiting into becoming. You turn stillness into magnetism. You become the vibration of your desire. And life has no choice but to meet you there. But first, you must pass the test, the silence, the unknown, the terrifying gap where you feel like you're doing nothing. But in truth, you're becoming everything. So if you're in that void right now, hold your ground. Don't move. Don't fix it. Don't panic. Breathe, align, and listen. Because once you master this sacred stillness, once you stop needing proof and start becoming a presence, life gets loud again, but this time it sings your song. Chapter 5. Integrate. Don't obsess. Every desire you feel isn't random. It's not a punishment. It's not the universe teasing you or dangling something just out of reach. It's a mirror, a message, a spiritual assignment. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He taught that every desire is a signal from the unconscious, not to chase something out there, but to awaken something in here. You don't want money just to be rich. You want to feel safe. You don't want a relationship just to be loved. You want to feel seen. You don't want success just for applause. You want to finally believe that you're enough. The desire is not the problem. The unconscious attachment underneath it is. And this is where most people get stuck. They obsess. They mistake their yearning for action. They check their phone 20 times a day. They reread old conversations. They overanalyze every delay, every silence, every little shift in energy. And they call it manifestation. But Carl Jung's work, especially the process of individuation, taught us something different. The goal isn't to become perfect, it's to become whole. And wholeness doesn't come from obsessing over what you lack. It comes from integrating what you've disowned. Your light, your shadow, your power, your insecurity, your deepest truth, even the parts you've been ashamed to look at. Because when you finally hold both your strength and your struggle, you stop needing life to fill you. You become full on your own. Let this land. You don't attract what you obsess over. You attract what you've made peace with. So, the next time you feel the pull to chase, pause. Not out of laziness, but out of mastery. Take a breath, close your eyes, and ask, what part of me still thinks this thing will complete me? Because when you realize you are already whole, that you're not missing anything, not broken, not behind, something powerful happens. The obsession dissolves, and in its place, calm, clarity, and actual magnetism. You stop needing the world to prove your worth. And ironically, that's when the world starts responding to you differently. Because now, your energy says, I'm already it. I'm already there. That's the difference between manifesting from desperation and magnetizing from alignment. So yes, you could keep reaching. You could keep analyzing every sign. Or you could do the radical revolutionary thing. Sit still. Do nothing and let life catch up to who you've already become. Because once the internal work is done, you don't need to chase. You don't even need to ask. You simply allow. You simply receive. You simply are. You must choose peace, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when there's no proof. Even when your ego says, this still isn't working. Because when you choose peace over pressure, that's when reality starts to shift. That's when you're no longer just a passenger in your life. You become the architect. Peace is your compass. Follow it, and everything meant for you will follow you. Chapter 7. Shadow work is manifestation work. You can't manifest a better life by only loving the pretty parts of yourself. You can't call in abundance while rejecting the version of you that's scared, angry, ashamed, or insecure. Because the universe doesn't just respond to your goals. It responds to your wholeness. And wholeness means facing the part of you you've been running from your entire life. Carl Jung named it the shadow. Not evil, not darkness in the Hollywood sense, but the repressed, the parts of you buried to survive, the fear you silenced, the rage you swallowed, the guilt you pretended didn't exist, the unworthiness you dressed up as ambition. Most people think manifestation is about scripting, visualizing, and raising your vibration. But real manifestation, lasting, grounded, soul-wired creation doesn't come from fantasy. It comes from integration. Let's get real. Every time you obsess over love, it's usually not about love. It's about a wound screaming, if someone loves me, maybe I'll finally feel enough. Every time you hustle harder for money, it's not just about ambition. It's about a core belief saying, I'm not safe unless I have more. And here's the trap. If your manifestations are rooted in shadow, in lack, fear, trauma, and unworthiness, then what you create will reflect that. You'll manifest a partner who triggers your abandonment wound. You'll manifest money that vanishes as fast as it comes. You'll manifest success that feels empty and draining. Why? Because you attracted it through a fragmented self. This is why Jung's work is so important. He taught that we must bring the unconscious into consciousness, because until you do, it controls your life, and you call it fate. So the real question isn't how do I attract more, It's what inside me still believes I don't already have enough. That's where shadow work begins. And no, it's not easy. It's uncomfortable. It asks you to stop blaming the world and start looking inward. To stop pointing at what didn't happen and start asking what part of me wasn't ready to receive it. It's not about shame. It's about ownership. It's about holding space for all versions of you, the light and the dark, and saying, you're allowed to exist. You're allowed to be seen. And you don't have to control me anymore. Because once your shadow is seen, it no longer operates in the background. It no longer pulls strings behind your back. It no longer creates chaos just to get your attention. You take your power back. And in that reclamation, your frequency changes. You no longer manifest from fear. You magnetize from wholeness. That's not wishful thinking. That's quantum alignment. That's nervous system safety. That's you becoming the version of yourself who no longer needs the world to fix what your soul has already healed. You stop forcing. You start allowing. You stop proving. You start radiating. Because now you're not asking the universe from a place of lack. You're becoming a version of you who already feels like it's done. And that inner reality is what bends the outer world. Not scripting, not vision boards, not chasing signs, but deep grounded, fierce integration. This is the work. Not the glittery, Instagrammable version of spirituality, but the real work. The work that makes you look in the mirror and say, I've been trying to manifest my future without making peace with my past. Not anymore. Now you stop running. Now you go inward. Now you face what's been silently directing your entire life. And when you do, the illusion breaks. The power returns. And your life begins to mirror your wholeness, not your wounds. That is manifestation. That is individuation. That is freedom. Chapter 8. Don't become the blocker of your own destiny. This might be the hardest pill to swallow, but the only thing standing between you and the life you want is you. Not your past, not your trauma, not the universe. You. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, the man who saw deeper into the human soul than almost anyone, said something chillingly true. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Terrified. Yes. Because real self-acceptance requires confronting the parts of you you've spent your whole life avoiding. The guilt, the shame, the regret, the fear that maybe, just maybe, you're not good enough. So instead of going inward, you chase the external. You look for someone to tell you you're worthy. You hustle for love. You grind for success. You manifest not out of belief, but out of desperation to escape yourself. But here's the brutal truth. Anything you chase to avoid yourself will become the thing that avoids you. You think you're just trying to make your dream life happen. But in reality, you're using that dream to avoid sitting in the silence of who you currently are. And the universe, it's not punishing you, it's protecting you. Because it knows if you received everything you wanted right now, you wouldn't be able to hold it, because part of you still doesn't feel worthy of it. And here's the deeper truth Jung pointed to. When you don't accept yourself fully, you become fragmented. Your conscious self says, I want more. But your unconscious self says, I'm not ready. And so your energy becomes a contradiction, a tug-of-war between desire and disbelief, a magnetic field that pushes away what it pretends to attract. You become the blocker of your own destiny, not because you're weak, but because you're still operating from an outdated version of yourself, a version built in survival, a version shaped by wounds, a version that was taught to earn love, not receive it. And the tragedy? Most people will live their whole lives chasing outcomes, when what they really need is to change their identity. You don't need to do more. You need to become the version of yourself that doesn't need to chase, the version that already feels what you're trying to manifest, the version that already believes, I am worthy, I am ready, I am enough. Because here's the universal law no one talks about. You don't receive what you want. You receive what you are. If you feel unworthy deep down, even if you say all the right affirmations, you will unconsciously sabotage every opportunity, every relationship, every blessing. Why? Because your energy doesn't match your intention. 18. So, if things aren't moving right now, if you feel stuck, it's not because the universe is ignoring you. It's because your internal frequency is saying, I still don't believe I deserve this. And the universe, it's simply reflecting that truth back to you again and again, not to punish you, but to wake you up. So, stop blaming the world. Stop calling it bad luck. Stop asking why nothing ever works out, and start asking, what part of me still believes I have to suffer before I receive? Because the moment you stop chasing outcomes and start evolving your self-concept, that's when everything starts to shift. Not instantly, not magically, but organically, from the inside out, the way real transformation always does. Oh, hear this. You are not stuck. You are not cursed. You are simply being asked to rise, to grow into the version of yourself that can hold what you've been asking for, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. And when that inner shift happens, you won't need to force manifestation. You'll become it. That's not magic. That's alignment. That's individuation. That's the power of finally and fully accepting yourself. Final chapter. You're not manifesting. You're remembering. Let's end this journey with the deepest truth Carl Jung ever whispered between his teachings. A truth so powerful, it doesn't just change your mindset, it restores your identity. You're not manifesting, you're remembering. All this time you thought you were building a new life. You thought you were attracting something outside of you, a dream partner, success, peace, abundance. You were doing the work, the affirmations, the visualizations, the shadow work, the healing, trying so hard to bring something into existence. But what if the real work wasn't about bringing it in, but uncovering what's always been there? Carl Jung's genius wasn't in helping people achieve more. It was in showing people that they were never missing anything to begin with. That all the pieces they were chasing were actually fragments of themselves they'd abandoned along the way. Let this land deeply. The version of you that has the love you crave already exists. It's not a future version. It's your original blueprint. But somewhere along the road, the noise got loud. The world convinced you that you had to chase to matter. You had to earn your worth. You had to perform for love. You had to sacrifice your truth to be accepted. So you forgot your wholeness, forgot your divinity, forgot your natural alignment. You didn't lose your power. You just lost your connection to it. And now, as you walk the path of healing, growth, and self-discovery, you're not building something new. You're not starting from scratch. You're simply removing what's not you. The fear, the guilt, the proving, the perfectionism, the overthinking, the attachments, the stories. All of it is just static, hiding the signal of your soul. Carl Jung never gave us a system to fix ourselves because he understood something most people miss. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be revealed. Who you really are is not the overthinking, anxious, insecure self you've been identifying with. And that's the persona, a mask, a survival mechanism built over years of emotional neglect and spiritual forgetfulness. Who you really are is the witness, the soul underneath, the one who remembers stillness, the one who doesn't chase because they already embody, the one who doesn't grasp because they already are. And this is the final sacred truth. When you do nothing, when you stop grasping, hustling, scripting, manifesting from fear, you return to your original frequency, the one you were born with, the one that never needed to be proven, only remembered. That's why things start aligning when you finally let go. Not because surrender is a cheat code, but because surrender is your natural state, the state of trust, the state of being, the state where soul overrides ego, where energy overrides effort, where alignment replaces anxiety. So if you're still stuck in the loop, trying to think your way into the future, trying to force the divine to move on your deadline, not because the universe is against you, but because it's trying to remind you of something you forgot. You are never here to beg for the life you want. You are here to remember that it's already yours once you become the version of you who can receive it. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not manifesting. You are remembering. And now you've remembered enough. Now it's time to return to the stillness, to the trust, and to the soul that already knows. Everything meant for me will arrive, not when I chase it, but when I become it. And in that becoming, you don't force, you don't beg, you simply allow, you simply receive, you simply are. Welcome home. If even one line in this video cracked something open inside you, don't scroll past it. Don't let this moment dissolve into your feed like every other piece of content you half watch and forget. Because this wasn't just a video. This was a mirror, a moment, a message you were meant to find. Not by accident, but by alignment. Carl Jung once said, "We meet ourselves time and again, in 1,000 disguises on the path of life." Maybe this video was one of those disguises. A reflection, a nudge, a spiritual checkpoint reminding you you're not here to chase the world. You're here to return to yourself. So if you felt that shift even for a second, comment below. I let go. I align. I received it. Not for attention, not for likes, but to declare to your unconscious. This time I choose alignment over obsession. I choose self over survival. I choose becoming, not begging. Maybe you're hit like, not to feed the algorithm, but to anchor this energy into your nervous system. To tell your psyche, this moment mattered. I am different now. Subscribe if you're done with surface-level hacks and temporary motivation, and ready to dive into Jungian truths that reconstruct you from the inside out. This isn't a channel. This is a journey, a path for souls ready to remember. And above all, share this video with someone you love, someone who's lost in the loop, someone chasing everything except themselves. Because Carl Jung also said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. This is your moment to awaken, to turn your attention inward, to stop seeking and start seeing. Because in a world obsessed with more, stillness is rebellion, presence is power, and sometimes doing nothing is the most courageous act of becoming. So breathe. The world around. Remember, you're not manifesting, you're remembering, and your return starts now. If this message stirred something inside you, don't stop here. The next video will take you even deeper into the journey of healing, growth, and self-discovery. It might just be the breakthrough your soul has been waiting for. Tap into it now. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and join a community committed to truth, transformation, and real inner change. You're not alone on this path. I'll meet you in the next video, where we continue becoming who we were always meant to be.